Maddie.
Let's go.
Episode 13 of The Mentors coming to you live from HQ.
Hi, Claudio.
Hello, is this Mr. Adam Gillbanks?
It is me.
How are you, my friend?
Good. Yourself?
Good. I've got Matt Lahood here and also Clinton from The Mentors.
Hello. Adam, welcome.
Hi, guys.
Welcome. So, Adam, tell us a little bit about yourself first, just for some of the listeners out there, and what market you work in.
I work up at McGrath Hornsby. I guess our market, it's it's middle of the range sort of properties. I do a lot of apartments. There's a lot of apartments in the Hornsby-Waitara area.
Yep.
And also a mixture of houses. So they've been doing it here for 4.5 years now.
Wow. Yep. Cool. And how's that been going for you?
Yeah, it's good. Started off back in late 2013, 2014, and I basically hit the ground running up here. I came straight in comm only, so I had to hit some goals to make it all work. But it's worked out really well for us. And
That's
I
great.
just enjoy this market.
Yeah. How is your market up there at the moment?
It's slow. It's very slow.
Maddie, sound familiar? Slow market at the moment.
Yeah,
We've heard that a couple of times today, Adam.
We've had a couple of calls already this morning where we've been speaking. A few agents have been saying the market's been a bit slow. It's interesting.
So, is it, Adam, it's Matt here. How you going?
Yeah, good, Matt.
Just quickly, is it buyer inquiry or is it offers? Is the numbers dropped at opens, or you're still getting the buyers but you're not getting the offers?
Look, numbers have definitely dropped, and we're also not getting the activity that we're used to. Before, even if the numbers were down, you'd get 2 or 3 people over the course of a couple of weeks that would give offers.
Yes.
Now, basically, what I'm finding is you're just not getting any offers. We can have a price guide or take a price guide off a property or go to the buyers and say, look, what would you be prepared to pay for it? And they just don't give you an answer. They just don't want to commit. And there's where it's really hard to create any competition or draw out any offers.
Yeah, right. Okay. So, all right. Well, now that we know your market, understand where you're working up in the upper North Shore of Sydney at the moment, tell us, and it's interesting, we were just on a call from a guy down in Melbourne in the inner city before, and he's experiencing the same, trying to get vendors aligned, etc. Tell us, what's your question for the mentors today?
I guess my question for you guys is I'm now getting to the point where we've got some properties that are on the market, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, and trying to give the vendors quality information week after week. You come to week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 is fine, giving them updates and letting them know what you're doing. But after sort of week 5, week 6, I'm really running out of things to tell them that lets them know that we are being productive behind the scenes and how often I should be calling them, because I can't sort of call them every day. Well, I can't think of anything to tell them that's newsworthy every day.
Yeah, especially being after 5 or 6 weeks. Just before we go quickly there, Adam, most of your properties private treaty or auction, just so we get an understanding.
Private treaty.
Private treaty. Okay. So week 5, week 6, Maddie, you're still on the market. Your vendor's going, what the hell's going on? Adam, from his point of view, goes, what information can I ring them about? Because now I'm just feel like I'm still serving them, but what can you be doing?
This is potentially back to around 2010 and then back to 1990, 1989, sort of 90, these market conditions. It's just part of the cycle of real estate. Can't boom all the time because if in anything that goes up, we always know comes down and vice versa. So we're in a cycle at the moment where the strong agents are going to the cream's going to rise to the top, right? So what I'd be doing, I would be having more face-to-face meetings rather than emails and phone calls.
Yes.
Are your vendors living in these properties? Are they investors or?
Well, look, a lot of the apartments, I'd say 70% of the apartments are investors, and they're either interstate or overseas. The houses, they're generally in there, and I do try and meet with them face-to-face.
I think you've got to meet face-to-face every week with someone you can. Skype's also another opportunity, or FaceTime.
Or Zoom.
Or Zoom. There are ways where that's sort of no excuse now to.
Can I ask you why face-to-face, Matt?
Yeah, because face-to-face, like people are so busy today. You send them an email, you ring them on the phone. You just don't know what's happening on the other end of the phone. They could have their 3-year-old kid dragging along their leg or something when you're trying to talk to them and they're trying to cook dinner or whatever. If you sit with them, you've got their undivided attention.
And would you do it at their property or at the office?
100%. I'd do it at their property or at their work or whatever it takes, Clouds. If you can only get them in the office, get them in the office. when it was really tight years ago, my whole week was vendor management. I used to go and sit in their work. So I had a couple of owners that were in the city over the years. I was in Randwick, so a lot of my clients were in the city. I just used to go and spend the day in the city. I'd go and do vendor meetings, meet one at 10 for a coffee, another one at lunch, another one at 1. Yeah. Then I'd come back to Randwick and just vendor meet all day and give them the face-to-face, like, what do you want to do? Because it's not a case of, when you're saying you've got nothing to tell them, you actually do have something to tell them. You say, look, I haven't had any internet inquiries. I did have 2 emails. I'd called back everyone again. I've spoken to my colleagues. I've called buyers agents to get them through. There's always something to tell them. It's just not good news. If it's not good news, you can't manufacture stuff. We don't want to do that. That's not.
Absolutely.
And, you do have something to tell them. You can always tell them you got no inquiry.
And that's the truth.
Right. I guess that they're finding with some of the feedback I have when I give them feedback, everyone wants a bit of good news now and then. If there's no offers or there's no one coming through, that there's delivering that week after week. I think you've got to be careful that you go in there looking like you're still positive about the property, not all Adam's doing is giving me negative stuff. He doesn't think it's going to sell.
But Adam, I think you've got to remind them that you get paid when it sells. That's what I used to tell my vendors. Look, I'm on your side. I'm wearing the same jersey, right? I'm on your side, and that I get paid when they sell, so I'm not holding it back. Trust me. I'm commission only. I eat, I don't sell, I don't eat. So let's be very clear about my intention to help you get this sold. But I want you to get the best result, and if it's not going to come right now, it might be in 6 months' time. You might have to take the property off the market. I remember taking a number of properties off the market when I was selling, and telling the owners, look, I'm going to come back, I'm going to ring you. If they wanted 800,000, it was worth 7. I'd say to them, look, Mr. and Ms. Vendor, tell you what, I'm going to call you when it hits 800. It might be in another year or 6 months or 12 months, but it's 700,000 is where it's at now. We've got two choices. We can sell it for 7 and move on, or we can wait for 8 and I'll call you in 6 to 12 months or 2 years. I think you've got to have that's the best way. No point sitting there at 800 and it's never going to sell.
That's right.
Yeah, because if you've got 10 listings, Adam, you're better off having 4 that are going to sell and take the other 6 off the market.
And I think it really comes down to, even if it gets to week 6 or 7, it's still about being proactive with that listing and giving them ideas and strategies that can help them move that property. And I think for you, Adam, it could look like, for example, maybe doing, if as long as in your heart of hearts they're aligned and the vendors are motivated, because some vendors today aren't motivated. They're still thinking like 2017 prices, let's be honest, okay?
Yeah, of course.
And they don't have to sell. I don't know how much time and effort I'd be putting on those people.
Yeah,
like
totally
Matt said,
agree.
like if they're 100 grand apart or even 50 grand and you're never going to get that, it's almost like saying, here, why don't we give it a rest? You hold on to the property. I'll give you a call maybe in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months' time. Once your property's worth 750 or 800, that's number one. But if you're going to work with the ones who are motivated and are aligned with you, okay, and the market, you would possibly even do maybe like doing something like a Sunday open. I know a couple of my clients are starting to do it, and they're starting to get some traction and results, meaning that, you know what, if something's capped out, we sometimes can't rely on the things that used to work.
Same old way.
Like relying on history. Yeah. Maybe we need to do things a little bit different. If something's capping out, means do an alternative, right? So the alternative might say, okay, my vendor's motivated. He really needs to sell because he's bought a property, okay? He's listening to my suggestions. He's on price, not getting as many buyers. Let me do a Sunday open, for example, okay? And then sort of see what happens there. So at least your vendor then senses, wow, you're really going out of your way. You're really committed, engaged. You're trying to get the best price, and you're willing to come out on a Sunday to do an open home for our property. So they're going to see a level of commitment.
It's value adding.
Value adding, okay. Now, the other thing is, Clinton, are you doing any social media stuff with these properties that you market at the moment?
Yeah, we are. We're putting them on, I guess, Instagram, in our Facebook feeds. We are doing quite a bit of stuff around that as well.
Are you boosting?
Yeah, we do boosting, and we don't boost all of them, but some of them we do boost. I track how many likes and shares or comments I get on it. I don't think it's big at all. You might only get 50, 100 sort of likes on some of them, even after they're boosted. So I don't know if they're going to the wrong audience or people just aren't clicking on them, but I'm not seeing a lot of traction from that.
I'm gonna handball you over to our third mentor here, Clinton, who is the guru around social media. So here we go. Is into week 6, week 7, meeting a vendor, right?
Yep.
He's already doing a little bit on social media.
Yep.
What would you recommend for someone like Adam? And there's a lot of agents who are probably listening or watching this today and thinking, okay, I've got a listing that's 6 or 7. What else can I be doing on a social media level with these properties?
I think every product is sellable. You just got to find the right person for it. And then when I look at all the different properties that I work with, there's always going to be a buyer for that property. Now, I'm not a real estate agent, but I love getting creative with this sort of stuff. So before you even think about advertising something, you've got to think about the content that you're putting out.
Yeah.
Right? Because 80% of the equation here is the quality of the content that you're creating. For example, if you've got an apartment and there's somebody living in it and you can't style it, then you've got to work with what you've got. So what else are you selling on this one? What kind of content can you create? So I think potentially what you need to do with this particular property that you're trying to push, and you're 5 or 6 weeks into it, is I would personally myself, if I have to create a piece of content for this, is I'm going back and I'm looking at what the owner absolutely loves about it. I'm looking at, can we do a video, because it's a lot more dynamic than just having images for it. I'm thinking about where are people paying the most attention, that I can put that piece of content in front of. Because storytelling at the end of the day is always going to be the key to winning, and being able to humanize something rather than just make it a product and a transaction is going to get emotional connection with it. So you've got to, I think as an agent, if I was an agent, I'd be looking at the things that I'm super passionate about with that particular property, and then I'd also be looking at what the vendor is really passionate about with that property. And then going and creating the content that's going to sell that.
Right. Okay. And then pushing it on platforms where people can actually see it. Yeah.
So tactically, then you're looking at which platforms people are going to pay attention to. So we've talked about this before. We'll talk about it again. Instagram is absolutely fantastic, but we're getting to a stage now where you've got to advertise. You've got to do it well. If you're not getting the cut through, if you're not getting the right engagement, if people aren't going crazy for it, then it's the content. That's the problem. It's not your advertising, it's the content. On the flip side too, and we've started to touch on this in the last episode, is using Facebook to actually create lead generation ads. So have you ever heard of that?
No, Facebook, not so much for the lead generation. I've heard of obviously promoting things, but not getting any lead generation off it.
Yeah, so if anybody goes into Facebook right now and they want to advertise, you're either boosting, so you're putting it on your page and you're boosting it, or you go into Ads Manager and you create different types of campaigns on it. So what we're talking about here is just selecting the campaign that actually says lead ad. And I would strongly recommend every single agent that's selling a property that has professional photos or professional video is using those to create lead ads, specifically in the area that they want to target. Now, another thing we didn't talk about in the last episode, which I think is relevant, is aside from creating that lead ad and having different options to sell it, you've also got to think about the demographics. It's not just people living in the area, but it's people travelling through the area. Because if I'm out of area coming into that area, then I'm there on a Saturday, but I'm not there any other day.
Good point.
And that's an option in the demographics.
That's really good.
Massive point.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's creative at the end of the day.
It's thinking, what Clinton's just said then, I've just heard it really clear, it's doing something that everybody else isn't doing.
Correct.
Thinking outside the box.
That's what I want you to be thinking.
Adam, the other thing too is...
If Saturday opens aren't working, try Sundays, right? If your Facebook ads or Instagram isn't getting the cut through that you need to, think about maybe doing Facebook ad leads, you know what I mean, and doing those different.
I think you owe it to your owners to protect their property by not leaving it on the market too long. It's not going to sell, because you've got a history on CoreLogic and RP data that it sat there for a year or 6 months or 8 months. Not good for the property. I think you should sit down and say to them, look, and for them, it's no good telling them bad news. It's better off to put it back, rent it out, or do whatever it may be, or leave it there unless they have to sell it. If they have to sell it, well, then you need to get a price reduction and move it. But I would work with only what I found when I was selling day to day. If I had 3 or 4 properties that were definite sellers, my energy would be up, my owner's energy would be up, the buyer's energy would be up, and off the back of that, I'd create another 4. If I've got 10 and 6 that aren't going to sell, the 6 are dragging my other 4 down, which is causing me to be distracted. And it's not the best thing. You just got to get the 4 or 3 or 2 that are going to sell and work with them. It's no good giving yourself a fuzzy feeling you got 10 listings and 6 of them aren't going to sell. It's actually destroying your mojo out there, and it's actually not doing the right thing by the vendors that are on the market, those 6. If they're not going to sell, you're actually damaging them by leaving them on the market because it looks like damaged goods. The other 4, you're distracting the 4 that want to sell because they're getting a little bit of your time's going to those owners that aren't going to sell.
And you might
where
have
you
that
should be
energy
working on the 4 that have to sell and getting them out safely in the current market. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a good tip, Matt.
Okay.
So Adam, we're here. We're rolling on, mate. Do we answer your question today on the mentors?
No, absolutely. Thanks all.
Okay, well, listen, mate, thanks for joining us here. Hope you got a lot out of it, and we'll catch you on our next episode of The Mentors. Thanks, Adam.
Got something great from this episode? It would mean the world to us if you passed it on. Tune in each week as we mentor a new agent. Have a question? Want to be on the show? Get in touch with Claudio Encina, Matt Lahood, or visit our Facebook page. The Mentors is brought to you by Sprinkler.media.